Cross your limits. Fear is only a mental barrier. Introduction. Every person wants to grow in life, but most people stop because of fear. Fear of failure, fear of pain, fear of hard work, fear of starting again. People think fear is something real, but actually fear is created inside the mind. The body is much stronger than we believe. The real problem is that the mind does not want the body to work. The mind always chooses comfort. It wants rest, sleep, entertainment, and easy life. Whenever you decide to do something difficult, study, exercise, work hard, or change habits, the mind creates excuses. It says, "Not now, you are tired, do it tomorrow, or this is too hard for you." But look at real-life situations. When a problem becomes serious, people suddenly become strong. A man who says I cannot work more works day and night when his family depends on him. A student who says I am weak studies deeply when exams are close. This shows one truth: power already exists inside you. It is just locked by the mind. Think about this example. You are running and you feel extremely tired. Your legs hurt. Your breath is heavy. Your mind says, "Stop now." Suddenly, you realize a mad dog is running behind you to bite you. At that moment, you forget tiredness. You run faster than before and save yourself. Ask yourself, where did that energy come from? Your body did not change. Only your mind changed its decision. This guide is about learning how to change that decision without waiting for danger. You do not need extreme problems to unlock strength. You need understanding, small steps, and action. We will not talk about big motivation or long speeches. We will talk about starting small, like studying for only 5 minutes. The mind cannot fight small actions. Step by step, you will cross limits that once looked impossible. Remember this from the beginning. You do not defeat fear by thinking. You defeat fear by moving. Chapter 1. Fear is created by the mind, not the body. Most people believe fear is physical. They say, "My body is tired, I don't have energy, or I am weak." But this is not true. The body is designed to work. The body follows commands. The real controller is the mind. Fear is a signal created by the mind to avoid discomfort. When the mind sees effort, it creates fear. When the mind sees comfort, it relaxes. This is why fear always appears before starting, not during work. For example, think about studying. Before opening the book, the mind feels heavy. Thoughts come like, "This is boring. I will not understand. I will start later." But once you start reading, slowly the mind becomes calm. After 10 or 15 minutes, fear disappears. This shows fear was never real. It was only a mental resistance. Another example is exercise. Before exercising, the mind says, "It will hurt." But after warming up, the body feels fine. After exercise, you even feel fresh. So fear existed only in imagination. Fear is like a shadow. When you run toward it, it disappears. When you run away, it looks bigger. The mind is not your enemy, but it is not your master either. Its job is to protect you, but in modern life, it overprotects comfort. That is why many people remain stuck. To cross limits, you must understand one rule. Do not wait for fear to go away. Act with fear. Courage does not mean no fear. Courage means moving forward even when fear is present. When fear comes, do not fight it mentally. Do not think too much. Just take one small action. Stand up. Open the book. Walk for 2 minutes. Write one line. Small actions break fear. Once you understand that fear is mental, you stop respecting it. You stop listening to its lies. You realize that your body can do more than your mind allows. This understanding is the first step to crossing limits. Chapter 2. The mind loves comfort, not growth. The human mind is designed to protect comfort. It always looks for ease, not improvement. Growth needs effort, and effort feels uncomfortable. That is why the mind resists change. This resistance is normal, but if you obey it, your life never changes. Whenever you decide to do something meaningful, the mind immediately reacts. If you plan to wake up early, the mind says, "Sleep more, you are tired." If you plan to study, the mind says, "You can do it later." If you plan to work hard, the mind says, "Relax today, start tomorrow." These thoughts are not wisdom. They are comfort traps. The mind loves today's comfort more than tomorrow's success. It does not care about your future results. It only cares about avoiding pain right now. That is why relying on feelings is dangerous. Feelings change every hour, but goals need consistency. For example, think about a student who wants to study seriously. At night, he decides, "Tomorrow I will study for 3 hours." In the morning, the mind feels sleepy and says, "Just today, take rest." That one day becomes many days. The problem was not ability. The problem was listening to the mind. Another example is physical work. Many people say, "I will go to the gym when I feel motivated." But motivation comes after action, not before. If they wait for motivation, they never start. People who go regularly do not feel motivated every day. They go because they do not negotiate with the mind. The mind is like a child. If you listen to it all the time, it becomes weaker and more demanding. If you train it with discipline, it becomes strong and supportive. Discipline means doing what is needed, not what feels easy. One important point to understand is this. Discomfort is a sign of growth. If something feels uncomfortable, it means you are leaving the comfort zone. That is exactly where progress happens. When you feel resistance, do not see it as a problem. See it as a signal that you are doing something right. Instead of asking, "How can I avoid this discomfort?" ask, "How can I move one small step forward?" Do not try to fight the mind with long thinking. The mind is very good at arguments. It will always win in thinking. The only way to win is action without discussion. Stand up before the mind gives reasons. Open the book before the mind complains. Start walking before the mind feels lazy. Each time you act despite resistance, you weaken the mind's control. Slowly, the mind learns that effort is normal. Comfort stops ruling you. This is how growth starts, not by feeling ready, but by moving forward even when you don't feel like it. Chapter 3. Emergency situations unlock hidden power. Mad dog example. Most people do not know how strong they really are. They live far below their true capacity. The reason is simple. Their life never becomes urgent enough. When life feels safe and comfortable, the mind keeps limits tight. But when an emergency appears, those limits suddenly disappear. Think again about the example of running. You are already tired. Your legs feel heavy. Your mind clearly says, I cannot run anymore. At that moment, this feels like the final limit. Now imagine you look back and see a mad dog running fast toward you. Instantly, your fear changes direction. Now the fear is not about tiredness. The fear is about survival. Suddenly, the body moves faster. The legs feel lighter. You run without thinking. After reaching a safe place, you stop and realize something shocking. You ran even after believing you could not. This example teaches a powerful lesson. The limit was never real. The mind removed the limit because the situation became serious. In real life, problems work the same way. When someone has no pressure, they delay work. But when family responsibility comes, that same person works day and night. When exams are far away, students waste time. When exams are close, they study deeply. This shows that urgency creates action. The problem is that most people wait for life to force them. They wait for crisis, loss, or pain to push them. But a wise person learns to create urgency without waiting for disaster. Ask yourself some honest questions. What will happen if I do not change? Where will I be after 5 years of the same habits? What pain am I avoiding today that will become bigger tomorrow? These questions create mental pressure. They make the mind serious. When the mind becomes serious, excuses disappear. Emergency removes laziness because it gives a strong reason. You do not need motivation in emergencies. You act automatically. The goal is to bring a small part of that emergency thinking into daily life. Do not tell yourself, I have time. This sentence kills growth. Time passes faster than you think. Use fear wisely. Fear of regret can be stronger than fear of effort. You are not weak. You are just not urgent enough yet. When urgency rises, strength appears. Learn this deeply. When the reason is strong, the body obeys. You do not need to wait for a mad dog in real life. Use imagination and awareness to create urgency now. That is how hidden power wakes up. Chapter 4: Why Big Thinking Stops You Before You Start. Many people fail not because they think small, but because they think too big at the wrong time. Big thinking looks powerful, but in the beginning it becomes a mental block. When the mind sees a big task, it feels pressure, fear, and tiredness even before starting. For example, you decide, I will study for 5 hours every day. The moment you think this, the mind feels burdened. It imagines long sitting, pressure, and difficulty. Immediately, resistance appears. You delay. You feel lazy. You avoid starting. The problem was not study. The problem was the size of the plan. The mind does not fear work. The mind fears long, unclear effort. Big goals should guide direction, not control daily action. When you mix big goals with first steps, the mind collapses under pressure. Think about climbing a mountain. If you stand at the bottom and keep looking at the top, fear increases. Your legs feel weak before moving. But if you look only at the next step, walking becomes easy. Life works the same way. When you think, I must change my whole life. I must become successful fast. I must fix everything now. The mind feels helpless. It says, this is impossible. Then it chooses escape. Instead, successful people break big goals into small, harmless actions. They do not think about the full journey. They focus on the next 5 or 10 minutes. For example, instead of saying, I must study all subjects today, say, I will read 1 page. 1 page feels safe. Once you start, momentum builds naturally. Big thinking is useful for vision, but small thinking is necessary for action. Another example is fitness. A person thinks, I need to lose 15 kilograms. This feels heavy. The mind resists. But if the same person thinks, I will walk for 5 minutes, there is no fear. Walking starts. Over time, weight reduces. Always remember this rule. The mind agrees to small tasks, not big promises. Do not ask yourself to be strong for 1 year. Ask yourself to be strong for 5 minutes. Anyone can handle 5 minutes. Once action starts, the mind changes its tone. What felt impossible before feels manageable during action. That is the power of starting small. Big thinking should come later. First, move. Movement creates confidence. Confidence allows bigger steps. If you want to cross limits, stop respecting big thoughts. Respect small actions. Chapter 5. The Power of the 5-Minute Start Rule. The 5-minute rule is one of the simplest and strongest tools to cross limits. It works because it does not fight the mind directly. Instead, it bypasses the mind. The mind hates pressure, but it does not fear small time. When you say, I will work for 3 hours, the mind panics. When you say, I will work for only 5 minutes, the mind relaxes. 5 minutes feels safe. 5 minutes feels easy. 5 minutes does not threaten comfort. This is why the rule works. The rule is simple. Do the task for only 5 minutes. No more promise. That's it. If you want to study, do not think about finishing chapters or exams. Just open the book and study for 5 minutes. If you want to exercise, do not think about full workouts. Just move your body for 5 minutes. If you want to write, write for 5 minutes only. Here is the important part. Even if you stop after 5 minutes, you have succeeded. Why? Because the real enemy was not the work. The real enemy was starting. Most people fail at the starting point. They wait for motivation, mood, or energy. The 5-minute rule removes waiting. It creates action without emotion. Something interesting happens after 5 minutes. Once you start, the mind slowly shifts. Resistance becomes weaker. Focus increases. Many times, you continue for 15, 30, or even 60 minutes without forcing yourself. This is called momentum. But even if momentum does not come, it is still fine. 5 minutes daily is better than 0 hours daily. Think about this example. A student says, I cannot study. I feel lazy. Instead of fighting laziness, he says, I will just read for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, he understands the topic a little. Fear reduces. Confidence increases. Slowly, study becomes normal. Another example is fear of work. A person avoids a difficult task for days. Stress increases. Fear grows. One day, he uses the 5-minute rule. He starts the task. After a few minutes, he realizes the task was not as scary as imagined. Fear breaks. The mind exaggerates difficulty before action. Action shows reality. The 5-minute rule also builds trust with yourself. When you promise small and complete it, your self-belief grows. Big promises break self-trust. Small promises build it. Remember this deeply. Consistency is born from small actions, not big motivation. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness comes after starting. If you use this rule daily, limits slowly disappear. Fear loses power. Action becomes habit. This is how change begins, quietly, simply, 5 minutes at a time. Chapter 6. Action comes first, motivation comes later. Most people believe motivation comes first and action comes later. This belief is wrong. If motivation came first, everyone would be successful. The truth is simple. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you sit and wait to feel motivated, nothing happens. The mind keeps you comfortable. Days pass. Guilt increases. Confidence reduces. Then starting feels even harder. This is a dangerous cycle. But when you take action, even small action, something changes inside. The mind sees progress. Energy increases. Focus improves. Motivation appears naturally. Think about this example. You feel lazy and do not want to study. You wait for motivation, but it never comes. One day, you force yourself to study for 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes, your mind becomes active. You feel slightly confident. That confidence pushes you to continue. Motivation appears after action. The same happens in exercise. No one feels motivated every day. But once you start moving, blood flows, energy rises, and motivation follows. Motivation is a reward, not a starting tool. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for a car to move before turning the engine on. Action is the engine. The mind often says, "I don't feel like it." This sentence has destroyed more dreams than failure. Feelings are temporary. Discipline ignores feelings and focuses on direction. Successful people do not ask, "How do I feel today?" They ask, "What needs to be done today?" Another important point is that action reduces fear. Fear grows in stillness. When you sit and think, fear becomes bigger. When you move, fear becomes smaller. This is why doing something, even imperfectly, is better than doing nothing perfectly. Do not try to change your emotions first. Emotions are followers. They follow action. Change action, and emotions will adjust. Here is a simple rule to remember. Move first. Feel later. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel weak. Do not decide your work based on feelings. Decide based on values and goals. If you wait for perfect motivation, you will wait forever. If you act even when you feel low, success slowly becomes normal. Every time you act without motivation, you become mentally stronger. You prove to yourself that feelings do not control you. That is real power. Chapter 7. Pain of effort versus pain of regret. In life, pain is unavoidable. But there are 2 types of pain, and you must choose one. The first is the pain of effort. The second is the pain of regret. Both hurt, but their results are very different. The pain of effort comes from doing hard things. It comes when you study even when you feel tired. It comes when you work while others rest. It comes when you control habits and push yourself. This pain feels heavy in the beginning, but it is temporary. It ends when the work ends. After that, you feel proud and peaceful. The pain of regret comes from avoiding effort. It comes when you waste time. It comes when you quit early. It comes when you choose comfort again and again. This pain feels light in the beginning, but it grows slowly. It stays for years. It comes back in silence, especially at night, when you think, I could have done better. Most people choose comfort today and regret tomorrow. They avoid the pain of effort because it feels uncomfortable now. But they forget that regret will visit them again and again. For example, a student avoids studying because it feels hard. He enjoys comfort. Later, when results come, regret appears. He thinks about wasted time, missed chances, and lost confidence. That regret hurts more than the effort ever would have. Another example is health. A person avoids exercise because the body feels tired. Years later, health problems appear. Medicine, weakness, and dependency replace comfort. The pain becomes permanent. Effort pain says, this is hard, but it will pass. Regret pain says, this is forever, and I cannot change the past. Smart people choose short pain to avoid long suffering. They understand that discomfort is the price of growth. When you feel resistance, ask yourself one question. Which pain am I choosing right now? If you skip work today, you are not avoiding pain. You are only postponing it and making it bigger. Effort also builds self-respect. Every time you choose effort, your inner voice becomes stronger. Every time you avoid it, that voice becomes weaker. Remember this deeply. Temporary pain creates permanent strength. Temporary comfort creates permanent regret. Choose wisely, again and again. That choice decides your future. Chapter 8. Daily Mental Training to Break Limits. Mental strength is not something you are born with. It is something you build daily, just like physical strength. If you train the body once, nothing changes. If you train it every day, it becomes strong. The same rule applies to the mind. Most people wait for big challenges to prove themselves. That is a mistake. Big challenges break weak minds. Strong minds are built by small daily training. Mental training means doing small uncomfortable things every day on purpose. Not extreme things. Just small actions that tell your mind, I am in control. For example, waking up on time is mental training. When the alarm rings, the mind says, sleep more. If you wake up anyway, you win a small battle. That small win increases self-control. Another example is cold water on the face in the morning. The mind dislikes it. The body adjusts quickly. This simple act trains you to act despite discomfort. Studying daily for 5 to 10 minutes is also mental training. Even on days when you do not feel like studying, you still show up. This teaches the mind consistency. Walking when you feel lazy, writing when you feel blank, working when you feel tired, these are not big actions, but they build mental toughness. Mental strength grows silently. You do not feel it immediately. But one day, you notice that things which once scared you no longer control you. Another important part of mental training is keeping promises to yourself. Do not make big promises. Make small promises and complete them. This builds self-trust. A person who trusts himself is mentally strong. Also, reduce comfort addiction. Too much phone use, too much scrolling, too much entertainment weakens the mind. Comfort makes the mind sensitive. Small discomfort makes it strong. You do not need to suffer. You only need to stop escaping effort. Remember this rule. Small daily discipline creates big inner power. When mental training becomes a habit, fear loses its grip. Limits start breaking naturally. You stop waiting for the perfect mood. You act because action has become normal. This is how ordinary people become strong, quietly, daily, without drama. Chapter 9. Cross one small limit every day. Crossing limits does not mean doing something extreme. It means doing one small thing every day that your mind wants to avoid. That is enough. Big changes come from small daily courage. Most people wait for a perfect day to change their life. That day never comes. Life becomes better only when you decide to act today, even imperfectly. Crossing a small limit can be very simple. It can be studying 5 more minutes when you want to stop. It can be waking up when the alarm rings. It can be completing one task instead of delaying it. These actions may look small, but they change your identity. Each time you cross a limit, you send a message to your mind. I am not controlled by fear. I can handle discomfort. I move forward even when it is hard. Over time, these messages become beliefs. Beliefs become habits. Habits become character. Think again about the mad dog example. In that moment, you crossed many limits at once because survival demanded it. Now imagine crossing just one small limit daily without waiting for danger. That is real strength. Do not compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with yesterday. Ask yourself every night, what small limit did I cross today? Some days the limit will be small. Some days it will be bigger. Both are fine. What matters is consistency. If you fail one day, do not quit. Failure is part of training. Start again the next day with a smaller step. Quitting completely is the only real failure. Understand this clearly. Fear never disappears completely. Limits never vanish suddenly. But with daily action, fear becomes weaker, and limits move farther away. You are not weak. You were just untrained. Now you know how to train your mind. Start small. Act daily. Cross one limit. That is how an ordinary person builds an extraordinary life. Chapter 10. Train your mind to obey you, not control you. Many people think the mind is their boss. Whatever the mind says, they follow. If the mind says rest, they rest. If it says skip today, they skip. Slowly, the mind becomes stronger and the person becomes weaker. This is the wrong order. The mind is a tool, not a master. It is meant to help you think, not to control your actions. If you let the mind decide everything, it will always choose comfort over growth. Think of the mind like a servant who loves comfort. If you never correct it, it becomes lazy. But if you train it gently and regularly, it becomes disciplined. For example, the mind says, "Don't study today." Instead of arguing, you say, "Only 5 minutes." You act. The mind learns that excuses do not stop action. Slowly, it stops resisting so much. Another example, the mind says, "You are tired, skip exercise." You still walk for a few minutes. Nothing bad happens. The mind learns that discomfort is not dangerous. Training the mind does not mean punishment. It means clear rules. You decide the rule, then follow it calmly. One simple rule can be, I act first, I think later. Each time you act despite resistance, you weaken the mind's false power. Over time, The mind becomes your supporter instead of your enemy. Remember, a trained mind helps you grow. An untrained mind keeps you stuck. Chapter 11. Do not wait for confidence, build it through action. Many people say, I will start when I feel confident. This sentence stops progress. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence is built after action. No one feels confident before doing something new. Confidence comes from experience, not from thinking. Think about a person who is afraid to speak. If he waits to feel confident, he will never speak. But if he speaks a little, even with fear, something changes. After speaking once, fear reduces slightly. After many times, confidence grows. The same happens with study, work, discipline, and life goals. Confidence is like a muscle. You cannot think it into existence. You must use it. Small action gives small confidence. Small confidence allows bigger action. Bigger action gives bigger confidence. This is how the cycle works. Waiting does the opposite. Waiting increases doubt. Doubt kills confidence. Even failure builds confidence if you continue. Failure teaches you that you can survive mistakes. That understanding itself is strength. So do not ask, am I confident enough? Ask, what small action can I do now? Action answers fear. Action creates belief. Action builds confidence. Remember this final rule. You become confident by doing, not by waiting.